My name is Chukes, and I'm an artist. I sculpt, I paint, I create. I was born in Vallejo, California. I was raised in San Jose. I left Northern California after I graduated from the California College of Arts and Crafts in 1997, and I've been out here ever since. I'm in paradise. This has been the greatest. This has been the greatest adventure of my life. I feel at peace where I've been able to create my own home, my wife and I, and create a life and create art. I think the first real thoughts for me were as a child. I had to be around 4 or 5 maybe, and I know the first two vivid thoughts I had was love, the love of my family, and that I was going to be an artist. I saw my mother create clothes, and it was the first time I was exposed to art because she had drawn pictures of our clothes on paper, and then she made them. And so I asked my mother, I said, well, what is this? What is this figure that you have on paper? And she says, this is a drawing. And I said, where did you buy that, or where did you get it? And she says, I drew it. I said, well, what is that? She says, I made it with a pencil. And so she showed me, and I was fascinated. And I said, can I have a pencil and some paper? And she provided me with that, and from that point on, my imagination as a child was so vivid, I started drawing it down on paper. And so I lived in my room and just drew my imagination on paper. My first experience with clay was in summer school. My mother always put me in summer school so I would stay out of trouble. I was very inquisitive as a kid, but it was beautiful. So anyways, we were sitting in class, and my teacher says, hey, we're going to play with clay today. And I didn't know what clay was. I mean, I knew what, like Play-Doh. And I played in the backyard with dirt, and I would build things in dirt and stuff and mud. But when he gave us this thing called clay and showed us how to make a bowl, a pinch bowl, and told us exactly what to do, and I said, okay, that's nice, but in my mind, I'm like, the first thing I kept saying, that would make a great head. And so everyone was making a cup. They were making these cups out of this bowl. And so I said, can I have more clay, because I want to do something else with it. So I made the pinch bowl, and then made another pinch bowl and put it on top of there, and then cut some eyes inside of it, and then I started applying a nose and a mouth, and I put some hair and made a cap. And I had never, again, that was the first time I'd ever worked with clay, but it was almost like it was innate, it was inherited in me. Somehow I just knew what to do with it. I knew exactly what to do with it at that young age. And so I made this face, and it didn't really occur to me, I didn't even think twice about it. But when my teacher saw it, he looked at it and he's like, have you ever done this before? And I'm like, no. And I remember he took my clay face and took it around, not just my class, he took it around the entire school and showed everybody in the school. And that clicked for me. And that said, hey, you got something here. And so it wasn't until I got to high school and met the greatest art teacher of my life, which was Mr. Mike Shannon, who passed away, was my high school art teacher. And he showed me a different level of clay that I took off from. He showed me the love of what clay was and the spiritual aspects of clay, and how to take clay from a mundane, tactile, commercialized material and turn it into your life, turn it into a life force, and do things with it that no one else is doing. other than the throwing on the wheel and making pottery and, you know, the utilitarian things that they use with clay, plates and things of that nature. He showed me how to do this, you know, how to let my mind just go and take the clay with me. You know, their labels are tricky. It's not a good thing to label things. I mean, art is freedom. How do you label freedom? You know, I mean, art is just letting your mind go, not being afraid, not following the rules, breaking every rules without being crucified for it. Some artists are crucified, but I mean, I believe in, if you're going to create something, create it with every bit of your soul that you possibly can. I mean, don't hold back. Let it go. Let your environment, let your influences, let your life, let the things that you like and the things that you dislike, let the positives and negatives, let it all go. I mean, be in tune. When I'm creating, I'm more in tune with life when I'm creating than in doing anything else in the world. And that's the God's honest truth. I am so in tune with myself and the world and everything that's around me. When I'm creating, I've never had this sensation with anything else, ever. Obviously my mother, you know, I mean, I would say my mother, my father, my family. My father, he didn't understand art whatsoever, but he never stopped me from doing it. He provided for myself and my brothers to express ourselves in the way that we've expressing ourselves today. He gave us that platform. My mother, when she saw, because my mother was just totally creative, and I took to my mother's creativity because we shared that in common. So when she saw that I had this artistic skill, she provided me with everything I needed to expand and to prosper as an artist. A lot of parents don't understand what their children are capable of doing, and the worst thing they could do is stop them from doing that. I would say to parents that even if you don't understand what your child is doing, and if that child is doing something and they're gifted, find every way, means possible you can to let that child succeed in it. And that's what I got from my mother. And my brothers, when they saw what I did, they were like, they were encouraging. I mean, they were my first critics, and I was their critics. I mean, and we would critique each other's gift. And I think that's what brothers and sisters and family is supposed to do. Not hinder, laugh at what we're doing, and not try to understand it, not try to not understand it, but understand it and flourish with it. Well, you can go to my website, chukesart.com, chukesart.com, or you can just Google my last name, Chukes, Chukes. I'm all over the internet. Like I said, I have my own website. I mean, my work has been shown throughout the world. I mean, I have pieces. I have the honor of creating a piece for a Nobel Peace Prize winner, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, which is in South Africa. Had my work in the White House. You know, it's been places. You know, I mean, I've been in the Oprah magazine, and I mean, I get phone calls and say, "Hey, Chukes, we saw your work here, there, and whatever." I mean, sometimes galleries don't. They kind of they don't want you to know how visual, and how galleries are really strange, because they're afraid that if you get too strong and too powerful, you're going to leave them and go to somewhere else. So they kind of hide your exposure and your greatness and keep you at a level that they want to keep you with, so they can control that aspect of you. So I mean, And in saying that, I've just found that I've gotten phone calls and said, hey, you know, your work, I saw your work here and there, and sometimes it didn't even have my name, but they just recognized the style of work. And they said, I know that's Chukes' work. You know? So, and you know, it's just, I'm just grateful to have my work just in places that I can't travel to. And I think that's, or I haven't traveled to. I think that's the beauty of art, because art is my legacy. When I'm gone, this is what I leave the world. Some people leave the world with just tyranny. I mean, they leave the world with just nothing but, you know, negativity behind them. I chose not to do that. I chose not to leave the world like that. I chose to leave the world with a statement that I love being alive.